Where's the camera's on the side on here? Okay, great. That's perfect. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So I was just thinking of all the people, and unfortunately, a number of people that are no longer here anymore. They passed away. So I just kind of see them in the room as well with us. You know, they show up. They spend a lot of time here. So all of that lineage is part of us, like all these years. So thank you so much. So let's take a moment to put ourselves in the right frame of mind. It's so important about our motivation. We've heard this a million times before. Or you may be new to the center right now, and you may just have come about what is it about developing a good heart, like that. But it all comes from setting that motivation. And as many of you know right now, the world is kind of struggling, but it's always been struggling, by the way, right? So, but it just seems to struggle in different ways. Samsara is nature. Samsara, the kind of messed up situation of cyclic existence, okay, that human beings experience, very common. So how do we, the main thing is more and more people are coming to me with depression, anxiety, mental imbalances, like that, afflictive emotions. How do we show up? The beginning is to set a motivation. And recently I was talking to a couple people that have been really plagued with depression and anxiety. And what happens is they cause you to sit in your mind more, all circling, ruminating around me and my experience. Very much so, right? And that's the source of a lot of the suffering. You know, so one of them who's been a long-time Buddhist practitioner was talking, and and I could see the tension, and all the, and she'd give me another layer, and then I can't sleep, and then this happens, and then this happens, and I could see, and then I just said, what about your motivation? What about the motivation? So every day is woken up without a motivation. So the motivation in this tradition is about benefiting all living beings. Benefiting all living beings. And as humans, we're limited to do that. We can't take care of ourselves, let alone think about all living beings. But if you become highly realized, and especially if you become a Buddha, which in Sanskrit means fully awake. So when we fully wake up, then you have no more fear. You have no more fear because you're omniscient, you're all-knowing, and you have every wonderful quality fully manifest in your mind, like wisdom, compassion, loving kindness. You act from there every moment. So as a result, you're blissfully happy all the time. And as a result of having that vast, spacious consciousness, you're fully enabled, empowered to help all living beings. It's where you get your juice from, right? It's where your pores, it exudes from your pores. It's every piece of you is that. You're happy all the time. Who wouldn't want that? Okay. Buddha consciousness. It's Buddha consciousness. Okay. So we can all get there. Okay. It will take great effort. Sorry to inform you. Look at the great effort you make in your lives right now. You make great effort, right? How much of that effort is headed in the right direction, would you say? What percentage? Right. What percentage of the effort you make? What do you spend your time doing? Just curious. What do you spend your time doing? Anybody? Even you online, you're not escaping. Okay. Don't think because you can hide in your living room, right? Now put your camera on. Our centers now, I teach at a lot of centers, they're struggling to get people back in person. You've turned out with a fair amount of people, like good for you. Some centers are struggling to get people in person. And so we brainstorm, we talk about it as they ask me as a teacher and some of the program coordinators and the directors, and they go, what did you do? And how in this center? And, so I just jumped up on them and I said, yes, if you can stay home in your pajamas with your glass of wine, why would you? And you have to drive an hour to the center, so again, but sometimes we need to make that effort to get in person right? And you come to the center, and what happens when you walk into the center? So first of all, you meet other people, and they become your Dharma friends, your Dharma community, okay? And it really becomes like a protective ring for you to hang out with. We hang out with non-Dharma people. That's okay. We have our family, we have other people, okay? But then you don't talk Dharma with them. You talk football and other things, right? And that stuff, that kind of effort, and you make effort in that. And that kind of effort isn't really going to get you to be a Buddha, okay? But then you get back with your Dharma friends. So I was just living in California. I just moved from California back to the East Coast. And I had more Dharma friends in California, especially nun friends, which was great. And we would go for walks regularly, a few of us, and that's what we talk about, so it is. So people said, well, when you go back to Philadelphia, you'd be isolated to a degree. But if I just manage to take myself to certain centers, and Dharma communities, I feel nourished. Fortunately, I have my practice pretty consistent, steady practice. So those Dharma friends are always there. So it's like, but seriously think about what you make effort in every day, and you want to be honest with yourself. How much of it is something that's going to lead you to freedom? And how much of it is leading you to other habituation that is not about getting you to freedom? What percentage would you say is going to freedom?
Minimum.
How much? Minimum. Anybody, what do you feel like? What percentage? A minimum. How much? 20% is going to freedom. Think about it. And you're given this jewel, and then you're told, I've talked about this before in here, but sometimes I feel like the teachers, like these teachers, that the pictures we have, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, Lama Yeshe, like that. And I see Brian online. I was just thinking about you, Brian. Great to see you. And other people online, it's lovely to see you. Fern looks really familiar. Cousin Fern. And then I have James, who found me, who went to university with me many, many years ago. I can't believe. He's like, I reckon I know you. I'm like, I looked a little different then, right? So what I feel like from these highly realized beings, I've mentioned this before, it's as if when they have come and taught, and then I am a disciple of theirs. So I'm giving from the teachings that came from the Buddha through ancient masters to them. They gave it to me, and they gave it to some of you. Okay, so this is an oral tradition that's passed down from you hearing it from their lips, ear whispered, they're called, from their lips to our ears, so that it's an authentic lineage of what I'm passing down. Tonight, I'll talk some about the bodhicitta methods and why that's advantageous. But what I feel like through all the teachings, and some of you are well-versed in this, it feels like they have been to the treasure. So they know about enlightenment. They've been there. And then what they do is they have the map of how they got there. That's what the practice is. That's what the path's about. So they kind of go, well, I got free. And I'm not saying me, I'm saying this is what they would say is they got free. And here's the quickest way for you to get there. Here's the map to the treasure. At first they say, are you interested? And we go, oh, yeah, I want that. I want that. And they go, okay. Well, in order to get there, and then you look at the map and you go, this is really hard. Do you have the easy map? Is there the easy path? Is it 95 with no potholes, no traffic, the express lane? And they go, yeah, here it is. So we have this different idea about the freedom, but they're offering us freedom, truly freedom. And you have to think about your relationship. How free do I want to be? So what's difficult with people in this room is we have a level of freedom that we think is happiness, but it's actually suffering. And the sad part about it is you go through all your things of life and still you die in the end. Still you die in the end. You can't prevent that. And because you're not free, sometimes that death is obstructive and frightening, not the way you planned it to be. Yeah. And then what's happening for most people on the planet now is before you get to that death, you run out of money to support your life. How many people do you know retired And they're looking at this and they tried to get the long-term care plan and they tried to do this and they realized they've sat down with their financial planner, and then what happens is, and this was even my father, I think he planned for him and my mom to get to around 85 years old. I think he kind of had it going good through that even. And the reason was his parents died really young. My mother's father died young. So he just figured people get cancer in our family and they die. They don't live that long. So he kind of had it mapped out, right? But what happens is if you live past 90, did you plan for that? So a lot of people I know are going through this now, these things, but you could have freedom. That's just one level that we think is freedom. So then you have the map and you look at the map, and some people get really excited initially and they launch out of the gate. I'm headed for the treasure. I'm all inspired. And then they follow the guru's advice. So they follow the advice of the teacher, and then it gets really challenging and they give up. I don't think the treasure's there and this is too hard. So then we go back into investing in things that don't get us free, and that becomes a habit. That's the path. That's what we do. So a little bit, take hold, and you have to start small. Some of you are already doing it. Do we need to close the drapes, or you got sun in your eyes, right? See another samsaric suffering, sun in your eyes, okay? But it's always something in samsara. So that's mundane. But there's bigger things people are going through, bigger sun in the eyes, seriously. That's really disturbing. So I just ask you through the time, I'm sorry I'm only here a week as well. I had just moved and I'm out of the country from May 9th for the rest of the year. So I just had a week. So I'm so sorry, but hopefully in the future we can have more time. And anyway, I want you to think about coming to Dharamsala, India in November. And I'm leading a couple courses that are 9 days, and one is on death and rebirth, the death and rebirth retreat. So think about that, and you can have time to plan to come. It'll be really nice. It'll be great. Thank you. So let's go back to the motivation. And if you'd like, just close your eyes for a moment. Just bring the gaze inward. Can you think about what you can realistically do in your life now? What sort of adjustment can you make in your life that will afford you more practice time? But really think of something that you can realistically do. Can you make a commitment in your mind this coming Monday? So you have a few more days left to get things sorted. This coming Monday, you are going to make this adjustment. Make it reasonable. Doesn't have to be some big sweeping thing. Make it reasonable to add 10 minutes, some quiet, still sitting practice that you're going to read that book that you've wanted to read, that Dharma book. You're going to sign up for the class you've wanted to do. Whatever it is, will give you a little boost to your practice or to help you start a practice. What can you realistically adjust that will lead you to that path to freedom? And tonight you may get some information on how to help support that path. And think about if that information can help move you along to full realizations, to becoming a Buddha. But that's not the end all in this path. It's so that we can benefit all living beings. If you like that idea to benefit all living beings, feel free to fold that into your motivation right now and take a moment to set a good motivation for our time together and all the activities of the rest of your day.
You don't get a text to an email sent for one for one. It's under Drew's neighborhood.
I want you to just focus on your thoughts right now and just notice, even if you're trying to keep the mind focused on the breath,
Okay.
thoughts are going to come and arise like bubbles on the surface of a clear mountain lake. Notice some of the thoughts. Where do they seem to come from? Is there ever a beginning to your thinking? Or is it a perpetual pattern of movement and change through your consciousness? Can you get a sense of the thought moved by a moment of mind or consciousness that has a moment of mind or consciousness before that that causes it, a stream, and a cause before that, and a cause before that? Just get a sense of that stream for a moment and notice that every moment of mind that causes your thinking, and there's always another thought that follows, which is a cause of another thought. And that other thought's a result, and then that's a cause of another result. Just get a sense of that cause and effect, or cause and result relationship. So please relax. And when you're ready, slowly open your eyes. And then could I just borrow a gold prayer book? Sorry. We'll just do the refuge and bodhicitta prayer as we do before we start teachings. Let me just find this. 98, page 98. If you can share books or turn to the book. This is our basic, this 4-line prayer. Refuge and bodhicitta before the teaching. This is standard of what we do before we start teachings. But it's really helpful to really think about what refuge is to you. In a sense, it's a sacred door through which the teachings are entered, coming along on the preliminary scope of the Lam Rim of our philosophy, refuge teachings. We take shelter. We want protection. That's what refuge is, right? That's what really refuge is. So we take protection and we seek shelter in videos and the internet and our sports teams and working too hard and having relationships and recreational drugs and physical exercise and food and buying clothing, shopping, it's what we take refuge in, friends and family, right? So it offers us a temporary relief from suffering, from challenges, from problems. Not an ultimate relief, is it? It's temporary, all these things. So what if you had an ultimate relief, something that really would protect you? So in this tradition, it's Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. The omniscient mind, ultimately, the Buddha mind, okay, let alone the historical Buddha, kind of conventional refuge. We have the Dharma, ultimate refuge, the teachings on emptiness, the realization of emptiness, or conventionally the philosophy, and ultimate Sangha, those that have had a direct perception of emptiness, of the nature of reality, like that. Or conventionally, your Sangha could be monks and nuns, more Sangha, or your spiritual community. So you have to understand, explore their qualities to see is it, this is again on the way to the treasure chest, is refuge, is really taking proper refuge. Because what happens is we get lost. I leave the path to get to the treasure because I took refuge in all these other things. This is going to bring me happiness. It's going to bring me lasting happiness. We try again and again, out there, somewhere, something separate like that. It's really developing the qualities exhibited by Buddha, Dharma, Sangha that we end up taking refuge. We develop those qualities in ourselves. It's a real refuge. So let's recite this with that feeling of thinking about Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, the triple gem, they say, the 3 jewels of refuge. Just think about these as we recite. We'll recite twice in the English and we'll chant it once in the phonetics. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I created to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I created through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. O Sangye Chodanto Kicho Namla Janchu Bardu Dagi Kyapsuchi Dagi Chin Yingi Peso Namgi Drola Penchu Sangye Dru.
I have no idea how to do that.
Bring one book up here. Hold on a second. Into my categories. Oh, let's see. Sorry, I'm just looking for this one text that somehow my library's all.
Venerable Amy, do you mind using the mic?
No, I would rather use the mic actually, because my voice doesn't get strained. Thank you.
So should I turn this on?
Yeah, you can turn it back
No,
on.
he's on, he's on.
Oh, it's on? Okay.
Yeah, just,
Let's,
it's on jack.
Testing,
No,
testing,
It's on jack.
Jack
testing.
turned it off though because it was making a loud noise.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
testing,
No, Jack, you had turned it off.
testing, testing.
Oh, it's on.
Testing.
Thanks.
Okay, great. Okay, hang on, let me just find, I had a whole Dharma section of my books, but they're all mixed in now. Okay, let me find this. Okay. Okay, it's okay if I can't find it. So what I wanted to mention is, as we were doing this meditation of what's your feeling of the thoughts? Is there a first thought? Where's your first thought? So I was saying thoughts coming from moments of mind, moments of consciousness. Get a sense of that stream, and there's a result going, and it's going and going. There's no end to that. Where does it start? Is there a first thought? No?
The first thought you notice in this particular instance.
So the first thought that you notice right here and now, and are there any thoughts before that one?
There were, but I was probably not paying attention to perceive.
Right. And if you go back in your consciousness, is there a first thought, a first moment of mind, would you say? Like when was that, would you say?
That's something I struggle to truly comprehend, but I would know the teachings. No, there's no first thought. But
No first thought?
so I think like our instinct is to believe that the first thought would be first breath, right, in this life.
First breath in this life. Some people said no first thought. Other people, because when I was saying there's kind of a stream, and you notice I had this thought, but there was a thought before that, right? And there seems to be some mental activity before that and before that. And so that's what I'm saying. Do you think there's a first moment of mind for yourself? Any thoughts on that?
Would have had to been caused by previous moment.
So there'd still be a cause. Buddhism says there's still going to be a cause for that. Okay. And if there is a cause for that, what it indicates is a past life ultimately. Because you could say, but this particular birth, my body started at a certain time, and we can prove that. But what about the mind, which Buddhism says it's not the brain, it's not physical. And it has a unique way of attaching, of being with the body. So you got non-physical connected to physical, the body, but that non-physical made up of, multitude of moments of consciousness. And they'd say without a start. And if there's no start, there's no first moment, it's going to go back indicating past lives. And it comes in, attached to a more subtle version of our body, not this body, but what they call a bardo being's body. Bardo is simply a transition. It means in between. Bardo, you're in between two lives. Okay, so you have more subtle body catapulted, searching for whatever your karmic seeds dictate you're going to take rebirth to. That kind of rebirth. But the mind is there the whole time, okay, in a more subtle experience. And the mind and the body exist on three levels: gross, subtle, most subtle. It's most subtle mind, they say, that contains all those karmic imprints. But if you go back and you go, well, there's still a cause for that, it would still indicate something's causing it, something's causing a preceding moment, There's a stream, the mind, no beginning, no end. That's what Tibetan Buddhism says. No beginning, no end. As a result, if you think about it, you've had countless rebirths. Countless rebirths. You've been cycling around over and over and over and over. Aren't you tired of that? When do we get tired? Right? And there are people I know, some not even Buddhist. You know, I have a friend, his mother is 96 now, 97.
Yeah.
Like that. Some of us have parents, and we know people, they're caretaking people at that age, you know, and she's not a Buddhist, his mother. But she's had some hard times in her life. Things. I think she just lost a child. So, you know, when you get to be 96, sometimes your kids die before you. They have health issues. It's really sad. Not the way it should be. Okay. But she said even 20 years ago, she said to her son, who's my friend, you know, she said, I'm done with it. I'm sick of this. You know, so it's good renunciation when you really feel, when you have a certain pattern in your life, let's say, certain pattern in your life. Okay. And you go, and it's a negative pattern and it gets you into trouble. Right. And then you finally wake up one day and you go, I can't do that anymore. That's suffering. I'm done with that. And that's a very powerful place for you. And we've all been there. We've all been there in something where this job, I'm not ever getting a job like this again. I'm not ever working for a person like that. I'm not doing a relationship like this again. I can't. Too much pain. And you don't deserve that. Nobody does. So that's the beginning of your renunciation. That's a powerful place, even in the midst of tremendous suffering. That's a powerful place for you. So have your eyes open when you go through it. Sometimes we say those challenging nights of the soul, right? Incredible lessons in those moments, right? Are they painful? Sure. Well, samsara is painful. Okay. So try to glean what you need to get from that experience. There's wisdom there. There's juice there for you. So see if you can maximize, what was this trying to tell me? Can I really make a firm conviction now? I'm never going to do it like that again. I don't need to do that anymore. And that's how we progress slowly. So I meet people sometimes, they're sick of, you know, tired of this. So think about, are you, you know, and what happens is we have it too good. That's why we're not tired enough. We have it too good. If you're living in Gaza now, you'd have a different experience. You'd be like, get me out of, you know, but in a sense, we're all in a prison. Just doesn't look like a prison to us, the way we think a prison. And I was thinking of this beautiful Jetsonma Tenzin Palmo. Some of you are familiar with her, the English nun. Beautiful book you must read, A Cave in the Snow. A Cave in the Snow. Lama Zopa Rinpoche said she has realized bodhicitta. We're going to talk more about bodhicitta tonight. She's realized bodhicitta. This is a Westerner that's had high realizations like that. And when you meet her, you get a sense of that. She's special. The Tibetans gave her the title Jet Sunma, which indicates a high realization. For the Tibetans to do that to a white girl, oh my goodness. I mean, she's had some level of realizations. She's beautiful. You know, and recently I was just asked in March, I think it was, when I got back to Philadelphia, there's a Western Non-Himalayan Nuns Alliance, it's called. Thank you, God, for that. That's me, non-Himalayan. We're not Himalayan nuns. There's a whole Western group of nuns, and we're not that well supported. So they had a meeting in Dharamsala, and they invited me a long time ago. Could you come? It's a conference. They invited a few of us to give a talk or something, and I couldn't get there because I was moving, and so I did it online. And Jetsonma Tenzin Palmo was very interested in this. This is one of her big causes. She started a nunnery for Tibetan nuns, and I knew she'd be at the conference and all that. Anyway, I gave this presentation, and then I said, and please tell Jetsonma to please give my best regards. You know, she's an old friend, but to give my best regards to, you know, and they said, well, she's here on the camera. They said, she's there in the front. And I was like, oh, I gave this talk and she's sitting there, you know. But she told us in a teaching once many years ago, she had a dream, and she was doing some kind of practice, and she had this dream. And in the dream, she woke up, and she found out she was in this huge prison. And it looked like a prison, right? Looked like a prison. So what happens is she realized she was in prison, and she felt like her job in the dream was she had to go around and get people to escape the prison with her. But it was huge, it was vast. It was like a few city blocks long, this prison. So she went around to every single cell and, went to the bars, and she said, hello, we're in prison. Like, I'm escaping. Do you want to come with me? I remember her telling us this dream. And what happens is she went to the prison, but some of the cells were different, and it was like an apartment. And she'd knock on the door, and the person would answer, and they had like a lovely penthouse apartment. Like some of the place she went to, some apartments, some were just kind of middle class apartments. And she'd go and she goes, we're in prison, and I'm going to escape, and I'm trying to take as many people with me as possible. Do you want to come with me? And so, the majority of those kind of people said to her, well, I know I'm in prison. But it's okay. Isn't that our lives like that? We're not really free, and stuff happens, and people die in our lives. The worst thing, we're going to get sick, and we're going to die, and you have problems with your kids, and your relationship breaks up, and then your dog dies, and then something happens, you have to move, and then your job doesn't work out. I mean, and we go, well, that's life. Okay. So she went around to apartments, and then she hit some penthouse apartments, very, very nice. And she knocked on the door, and she said, we're in prison, and I'm going to escape, and you want to come with me? And they were like, what prison? So this is our lives. And then there were some people being tortured so badly, they couldn't even lift their head to be able to escape. So this is our whole entire planet right now, what's going on. But she got 2 people to go with her. 2 people said, we're with you. We want to escape. We want out of this. Okay. Could be 2 people in this room. Okay. Who are you? Which ones? So she got 2 people. And she said, and then they went to the front gate of the prison, right? And there's guards and the whole bit. They walked right out. Who keeps you in prison?
Herself.
Just only you. There was nobody to stop them. They walked right out of the prison, right? And then what happens is she felt they should run to get away. So they're running. She's in front, 2 people behind her. And they're running, but the prison's never ending. The prison is just, and she looks in the windows like a factory. She sees people are eating dinner, people are making love, people are studying, people are talking, people are hanging out, people are fighting. She's watching, and then she gets exhausted. She goes, it just never ends, this prison. We'll never get away. We'll never be able to get away. And she's getting more and more tired, more and more tired, and more and more tired. And then she starts slowing down, and she realizes, I can't escape. I don't think I can make it. Can't escape the prison. It just never ends, and I'm exhausted. My lungs are killing me, and my feet are hurting. And what happens is she forgot about the 2 people behind her, but she's running, and she realizes, I can't make it. I can't make it. And for some reason she turned, and suddenly she got a glimpse of one of them. And then she forgot, and she realized there's 2 people running because of her, because she got them out. She said she inspired them, and they're basically doing this, following her and running with her. And she realizes if she stops, they're going to stop, and they're all going to go back. And as soon as she had that thought that she couldn't stop because of them, prison disappeared. Bodhicitta. So that's bodhicitta. That's the crux of, and I just want to, I'm one of the teachers that tries to stay on subject. I just want to get the whole full title of what we're doing tonight.
Venerable Ling.
Just I could look up.
I actually attended 2 days of teachings with her in Dharamsala in 2019.
Wonderful.
Get to shoot it was great.
Yeah, she's quite extra. She's really extraordinary. You can watch her online, and you can certainly go to some teachings. She doesn't travel much anymore, I don't think, but
She's officially retired.
yeah, they said she's officially
Yeah.
retired. I'm like, good for her, all these years. And she's really, but you can go to Dharamsala, you can meet her, you can see her. She's extremely approachable, down to earth. And so tonight is I'm gonna find it.
Don't give up. how to keep our hearts open in the face of adversity.
Yes, thank you. Don't give up. Thank you so much. Don't give up. How to keep our hearts open in the face of adversity, cherishing others more than ourselves. Okay. So think about, how do you keep the heart open in the face of adversity? Think about the people running behind you. Think about these people. If you're a Mahayana Buddhist, if you got yourself into the room and call yourself a Mahayana Buddhist like that, that's the purpose of what you're doing, of your life's work. And what happened for one of these people, and please think about if this is your situation, one of these people that recently, a lot of people make appointments with me, and, depression, anxiety, it's so hard. So many people suffering from this right now, young and old and whatever. And this one person came, and she partly feels she's not able to accomplish her life's purpose. Not able to accomplish her life's purpose. Late 70s. Okay, late 70s, but think about this. Late 70s, but actually said to me, I'm young. This is young. So there's some kind of imbalance. To think that you're young in your late 70s. Now you may be youngish and feel young. Great, but come on, things are so, but the thing is, if you think you're young, then why, you have lots of time to practice your life's purpose and to find meaning. And it doesn't matter, because every day you can, whether you're young or old or whatever. You don't need, so think about doing that, and think about driving yourself to that every day, every morning when you wake up. Is the crux, is the balance of my buoyancy every day, your life's purpose. And what I mean is, what's the thing that lights you up from the inside? Okay, life's purpose isn't just what makes me happy, superficially happy. That's just here. What is really your juice for life? And it's about bodhicitta. Please explore that. Okay, I can't get you to practice bodhicitta, but think about, what is your life like if every day you wake up with a motivation? I'd like to have all the activities I do with my body, speech, and mind throughout the day, as much as I can. I'm not going to have mindfulness the whole day, but as much as I can, I want to direct those activities to getting to a place where I'm unlimited in helping all living beings. If that's your waking motivation, if that's your getting out of bed in the morning motivation, that's my brushing my teeth in the morning, having a shower, shaving, having your coffee, whatever it is, motivation. Okay. And figure out what is going to drive you and direct you in that way. Okay. And you all have different paths to the top of the mountain. For some people, you want to work and volunteer for the center. Unbelievable. Wonderful. Centers are hard. Don't think, we get people at our Buddhist centers. Why? And we had residential Buddhist centers I was running. Residential, you're living there, living in a place. You get a little simple cabin if you're lucky, little simple room. And people would come, and they think it's cool to live in the redwoods in California. Great. And they come, and we go, why do you want to be here? Well, I want to be at a place where everybody's peaceful and gets along. I'm like, take it down the road. It ain't here. We're Buddhists. We're not Buddhas yet. Okay. Buddhist means if you're a human being, okay, then you are subject to afflictive emotions. Sorry to inform you. Most of you know this. You're subject to afflictive emotions. That means an imbalance in your mind. That's all it means. That means sometimes you suffer from anger and hatred, sometimes attachment, desire, confusion, jealousy, depression, anxiety, pride. You get it. Okay. Human beings suffer from that. It's normal as a human. So when you suffer from that, and then you do something negative from it, please forgive yourself. You're a human being. You're going to make mistakes. Don't need to beat yourself up. You just don't want to make those mistakes endlessly. Learn from them, correct them, so you can become a Buddha to benefit all living beings. Okay. So that motivation, figure out what it is. So Buddhist centers, they can be challenging, and there's nothing better to purify karma than working or volunteering at a Buddhist center, helping a Buddhist center. Okay, do it at a small level then. Centers always need help, right? The center needs help, right? Yes. They need help because okay, there you go. They need help. So, and there's so many ways you can help. You go, I only have a couple hours a week. Then tell them I only have a couple hours a week. They'll find something for you. You go, no, I want to do this. I want to learn how to do this. I want to slowly, but there's many ways. Something that gives you zest from the inside, whether you have some sort of volunteer project on the side, you know, whether you're dealing with, if you're caretaking a parent, a mother or a father, and that person is tremendously difficult, and you find a new way of interacting with them that's more harmonious. My hat's off to you. Thank you for doing that, right? That you're kinder, gentler, a little bit less reactive in traffic, maybe, you know, a little more helpful and spacious in the grocery store. Like, so many ways to practice. Okay? But even find a life vocation or some other work you can do. Generally, this is what you do, you know, and that's how it makes you feel, because it gives you incredible meaning in life and you're much happier as a result. But what I find is the real magic of it is thinking about helping somebody else. Helping somebody else. Now you can help yourself along the way. Nothing wrong with helping yourself and being balanced, positive as much as possible. So again, when I mention those afflictive emotions, a couple of them probably jumped out for you, right? A couple were like, I do that. Okay, go to work on those first. That's your job. And that gives you zest as well. If you know you're at least working on it, doesn't mean you don't fall flat on your face sometimes. You know, pride is your thing and you suddenly found arrogance going, boom. Okay, pick yourself up, look around, figure out what happened. Why did you respond that way? What are the antidotes to not respond that way? What were the triggers around you? Protect yourself a little more, maybe from those triggers. Find more positive people to hang out with. That's what's fun when you create a Dharma community and you go out to a cafe with your Dharma buddy, right? And you go to the movies with your Dharma buddy, and you go to the beach with your Dharma buddy. You talk about Dharma sometimes, you know, or you talk about your problems, but you're going to layer them in a Dharma context of, you know what I tried? This was really great. Did you read this book? This was great. You know which teacher you need to listen to? Go online and find that. Make sense? We have to do this. We have to do this for the planet because we're in the room. There's a lot of people that aren't in the room. But because we're in the room, okay, we're a little bit of a stride ahead. So let's use that advantage. And we have incredible privilege, people in the room. Incredible privilege. Let's use it to wake ourselves up. Please, please do that. So think about this. If we have this beginningless nature of mind, bodhicitta, to develop this good heart, and this is what keeps you buoyant in the face of adversity, okay, is to develop this good heart. There's two main methods that the Buddha came down from the Buddha, two main methods in this tradition. And one is called the 7-point cause and effect method to develop bodhicitta. 7-point cause and effect method. Very public teaching that came down from Master Sirlingpa, who came from Sri Lanka, but originally from the Buddha. And then through Master Sirlingpa, who taught other teachers, who has since reincarnated, is a Lama these days as well, a modern Lama who actually gave me Bodhisattva vows again and gave teachings on bodhicitta that I had heard it from, along with His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, where the lineage, where I got it from. Okay, 7-point cause and effect. Second method was secret, called equalizing, exchanging self with others. Equalizing and exchanging self with others. Again, from the Buddha, all the way down through ancient masters to Master Shantideva, and then through more modern teachers, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, to me. The equalizing, exchanging self with others was a secret teaching. And the reason it was secret, it's radical. It's kind of radical compassion, because it includes tonglen meditation. And tonglen meditation, the essence is you are interested in taking others' suffering. As you inhale, mounting it on the breath. So I inhale, it's a visualization. I take their suffering. Suffering doesn't harm me. It harms a constricted knot of my self-cherishing at my core. And as I harm that self-cherishing, I develop a deeper sense of spaciousness, grace, happiness, loving kindness, all the good qualities. And as I exhale in the breath, I offer that to whomever I'm visualizing or thinking of. right? Taking the suffering, offering the happiness, taking the suffering, offering. Tonglen. Often they say giving and taking, but you first need to take the suffering before you can offer the happiness. Okay, so people say, I don't want suffering. Who wants that? That's why it was secret, because people that aren't Buddhists wouldn't really understand. They go, oh, the Buddhists, they just want suffering and they're masochists. And no, it's not about that at all. It's to reduce my self-cherishing. It's simply a mindset, it's an attitude. And if you can't do much Buddhist practice in this life and you habituate your mind with tonglen meditation, and that's what you're doing when you're dying, not a bad way to die. Not a bad mind state to have when you're dying. So let's explore 7-point cause and effect method to develop bodhicitta. Both of these methods are based on something called equanimity. We've all heard that before, equanimity, equal regard or equal respect for all beings. There's a beautiful equanimity meditation, and I don't know if you have it in the library, there's a beautiful Lam Rim book, commentary by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, a smaller Lam Rim book called Path to Bliss.
Yes.
Path to Bliss. I highly recommend this Lam Rim book. Lam Rim is our philosophy. Most of you are familiar. Lam, path. Rim, stages. Stages of the path. Like that. Excuse me. Stages of the path to enlightenment, the Lam Rim, as most of you know, is divided into 3 scopes based on the motivation of that being studying. And His Holiness goes through, and when he comes to the higher level teachings of bodhicitta, I think it's pages 160, 161. I use this meditation a lot over the years in the book, at least the edition I have. And it's a 9-point equanimity meditation that came from His Eminence Trijang Rinpoche, who was the junior tutor to His Holiness the Dalai Lama in his last life. His Eminence Trijang Rinpoche, who last I knew was living in Vermont as a lay person. And the senior tutor was His Eminence Ling Rinpoche, who is just touring our centers now. I just saw him in New York and New Jersey. And he's remained a monk, and he is just a light of fire. He's amazing. I met him when he was 2. He's now 39. And he's just glorious and very, very fun. So he just taught at some of our centers. He's going to be in Raleigh. He's slowly moving west, and then he'll be in our centers in California, like that. So if you get a chance to see His Eminence Ling Rinpoche, very, very worthwhile. And then we were with him at our Shanti Deva, our center in New York, and we had a little private dinner with him a couple Friday nights ago, I think. And then the center's very close to walk from this house at one of the benefactors. So it was better for Rinpoche to walk. It was a beautiful night. And we walked over, and I was with Rinpoche and his 2 attendants. And I've known Rinpoche a long time. When he was 12, I wanted to bring a gift. I came to some conference, and I at the last minute, I found I got a yo-yo for him. I didn't know, but I thought it was a little different yo-yo. It was small enough to put in my luggage, and he got the yo-yo. The yo-yo was broken. It never worked. Okay. So it was a long, long time ago. And then we're walking, and then he turns to me, and we're talking about something in the Dharma or something about centers. And then suddenly he turns to me and he goes, well, it's not like, getting a yo-yo that doesn't work. Like, 20 some years later, and I said, Rinpoche, do you remember that yo-yo? And he said, it never worked, and a big laugh about it. And so, I've actually thought of getting him a yo-yo to bring to these teachings. And I was like, nah, and so the last night I went back home, and then I came back to New Jersey just for that night, for those last teachings. And I got him one of the nice Duncan, one of the famous American made, and all in a package. And I said, here, Rinpoche, this is, try this one. So, but anyway, you can see these lamas. So Trijang Rinpoche, also an amazing, was an incredible being. And so that equanimity meditation is really helpful. When you think of equanimity, equal regard, so what happens is we put people in boxes and categories so we feel safer. If I can define you, and I've seen people say to me when I'm traveling overseas, met people all over the world, and sometimes there's certain countries that don't really like Americans, as you know. Okay, now we're not all American here, but there's countries, and sometimes I'd be traveling with people, and a lot of Europeans were very looked down on Americans, especially different periods in the 70s and 80s, and I think even now. And so people would meet me, and I remember traveling with these two, an Australian monk and a Swiss monk once many years ago, and one of them said, "Oh, and you're from," and then I'd say the United States, and then I could see the person, the European, go like, "Oh." You know, and then one of the Australian monk would go, "No, she's nice." Right? So they wanted to know where I'm from. And then when I say American, they have me pegged. They know me. They got me down now. So we do this with a lot of people. You know, you don't know the story behind a homeless person. There's a whole life there behind this person. You don't know what they go through, you know. You don't know. I just the other day was talking to our mail carrier. We have a newer one, you know. So I was like, I want to know his name. I want to know I mean, it's bringing you your mail. It's bringing you your voting ballot. That's important to me. I want to, you know, but I wanted to get to know, you know, you have, and so just getting to know, you don't know the story behind these people, but we kind of have, you know, it's people you see in the shadow. There's people that come into prominent light for you all the time, like that. How we judge people and categorize people. So with equanimity, and part of this meditation is you're realizing everybody wants to be happy and doesn't want to suffer. Is there anyone here that doesn't want that? Okay. You don't want to be happy and not suffer?
Oh, no, opposite.
You want that. Yeah, everybody wants that. Like, see if you can think of anybody that doesn't want it. Now, there are some severely mentally disturbed people that may act like they want something different. Basically, on the planet, everybody wants to be happy, doesn't want to suffer. And then isn't it interesting? And that's the same thing you want. So here you got this person, now you got something in common, but isn't it interesting? As much as you want to be happy, happiness escapes you, just like them. As much as they want to be happy, sometimes they're not. You know, and as much as you don't want to suffer, we meet with suffering so often, in small ways and in big ways, just like them. So suddenly you have all these things that this person really isn't that different from me. Isn't that different? And then it really goes up to a level of the inherently existent, difficult person, let's say. Okay. So when we have a challenge with somebody, we label a big, prominent, concrete, permanent, inherent kind of nature on them. They're always like that. They're always difficult. I hate this person. They're, you know, we don't give anybody the ability to change. The ability to change, that the possibility that they're multifaceted. People are multifaceted. They have many interests and stuff, but we judge people. For instance, some people judge people on the way they voted in a certain election, but they have so many more facets to them, you know, or the reason why they voted for this person. I've seen people divided. Well, no, he's a such and such. We don't talk to him because he, you know, like that. We have it on my street. My street's a bit divided. It's really funny. Should I say it like this? My street is a bit divided. And we know I live in one block. We're super tight. I just have this beautiful community, these neighbors, different ages. I live between 9 kids, 9 school age kids, but there's discussion at times of those who watch Fox News and those who don't. Okay. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, it's funny, but people were really, and I heard the other day and somebody just went like, well, they watch Fox News. like that's all that there is to them. Okay. So my neighbor, and I've mentioned this before in here, this is what we need to do. Face adversity. Okay. You have your other out there. Okay. This is my neighbor. My neighbor moved in. He's in his 80s. Okay. He moved into the neighborhood when I was 14 and I went to high school with his son. 2 kids from his first marriage. Okay. His wife died of kidney disease. First marriage. Okay. He moves to our neighborhood, had married a younger woman. Okay. Marries a woman, moves in with his 2 kids from the first marriage. They're living together. The daughter never liked the new wife. So there's that going on in the house. Okay. Then he has 2 more kids with the new wife. So the youngest son of that marriage lives in the house now. He's in his 40s with his wife, their 2 kids, and the father's still alive. So his second wife died of cancer, much younger. He lost 2 wives, this man. Okay. He watches Fox News. Okay. You get an idea. I'm just kind of joking. He also would always put political lawn signs up on his lawn. Prominent, big into that, whatever. And, somehow my sister, very liberal, would come home and she'd kind of she'd visit, and she'd be like, what's he doing? What's he doing over there? But he's much more than that, my neighbor. My dad passed away about 5 years ago, right? So when he passed away and he couldn't drive me to the train anymore to go, this is who would drive me, my neighbor. Drive me, take my bag out of the car, give me a hug goodbye, let me know if you need anything, call me when you want to pick up. Multifaceted. He's got so many other things about him. I could just judge him as a couple of things, but so what you have to do when you see adversity, we judge from afar. It's easy. I don't like that person. I don't like the clothes they're wearing. Oh, look at them. Look at the kind of car they're driving. Look what they're, move in close. You see different things when you move in close. Their pain, their suffering, their confusion, their happiness, their joys, what they misunderstood, what you misunderstood. Okay. You have to get up close and personal and get to know them. And our job is to create as many harmonious relationships on the planet as we can. Okay. Especially with the other, especially with the person that's different, the person that we might have judged, that we might have thought they were like this, that they're only like that. You don't know them. You don't know what they're capable. My neighbor, he'd be there. I call him any time of the day. He'd be there for me. That's who he is. Am I going to judge him because he watches one television program? And put some sign on his lawn? Is that what, So again, we really have to find that in the face of adversity. I was just watching today, I was driving from the airport and I forgot that I was in Florida, and I suddenly was like, there's a part of me that's really not happy, driving on 95 in Florida. I was, and just people get aggressive and there's, it just, and who was I was thinking, there was somebody I was talking to that I just said about watch out for the big trucks. I was only with a couple of people. So must have been somebody else that, maybe it was Margaret. No, I can't think. It was somebody else that I was saying, be careful because this big truck came by and nearly wiped this person, but I can't remember where. And I just said, oh, you have to be careful for the big trucks. And they said, this is what the person said, I don't like big trucks. Okay. So they have this idea, but again, so again, trying to find that, and you can always get in the right lane and go a little slower, a little less stress, and you have much more time to see people that are in a hurry. I just get out of their way. They're in a hurry. I don't need to be in front of them and block them and, like that. But I see people, and this is my brother. This is Philadelphia. Philadelphia can be a little rough, right? So one time I'm driving with my brother. I'm in the passenger seat. I know where he's going. And I said, well, are you gonna get over soon? We need to turn. And he goes, yeah. But I said, well, do you want to put your signal on? And he goes, oh, why? So the person behind me can pull up and not let me in? People do that though, don't they do that?
Yes, they do.
We don't want to be those people because of bodhicitta. We don't need to participate in that. Just because someone else is doing it and they ticked you off, look at what they ticked off. Who are they ticking off? You don't exist inherently. Okay. The thing that you think got ticked off doesn't exist at all. Okay. It is a hallucination in your mind because of your confusion, because your fundamental ignorance. Okay. So you just breathe in a little more slowly. You exhale a little more slowly, right? You think this is a precious friend showing me my mind. Thank you so much. I really want to develop a good heart. This person's doing the best they can. And I met the Dharma. I have the jewel and I have access to that map, to the treasure of freedom, right? They may not have that. How lucky am I? I don't need to engage in that. And what that does is if I want to engage and get in front of somebody and block them when I see them pulling up in the mirror and do it at the last minute and not signal and be ornery and give them rude hand gestures in your car, okay, that makes your path to that treasure chest slower, and you will have more obstacles on your way. Okay, you want to clear out the obstacles? Kindness is the way to do it. Kindness makes the road smoother, and it makes that whole trip that you're going to go over that gnarled tree and under the pond and all that, and it makes it suddenly a clear path out there. And the other thing is it inspires you to want to move along that path on the treasure chest, no matter how hard it gets. You're going to do it. Why? For all these living beings that are so confused that aren't on the path. Right? They say that when you start meditating on emptiness regularly, when you start studying about the nature of reality, emptiness, that there's a lack of inherent nature to everything, including myself. When you start studying more and more and soaking your mind in that view more and more and over, right? It grows your compassion because you realize how everybody got it wrong. It's not their fault. It's just because of fundamental confusion or ignorance in their mind. They can't help themselves sometimes. So if I want that to instigate my anger, that again prevents me from getting to freedom more quickly. Okay. If I give them the benefit of the doubt, as we say, and realize I'm confused, so how can I even judge? Because I suffer from the same disease that I'm saying they suffer from. So how is it that I really know and think my view is the only view? So when people make mistakes, we're much more forgiving, much more space in the heart. I realize they don't exist inherently like that, and they don't have any notion of emptiness. And as a result of that, we make mistakes. We cling to things and we avert from other things and people. And that's the source of all of our suffering, that misunderstanding of reality, misknowing of reality. So with some of that, the bodhicitta grows, and you realize, wow, it's like when you see kids and when you see puppies and small animals, and they're, and you see them, they don't know it. We're much more forgiving. They don't know, we say with kids, they didn't know. And we're like that often. We make mistakes. Okay. So this basis of equanimity, really want to think about it and spend some time, watch the next few days. You can do this the rest of your life, of how you put people in boxes, how we're judging, compartmentalizing. So I think I'm safer. Oh, I know you're from Philadelphia. Oh, well, now I got you down. I know who you are. Really? But I've seen people say, oh, now they're like this, oh, this white woman gets out of this big car and all that. And I think I know. You don't know anything about her. Right? So watch what you're imputing on others. Watch what you throw out there on others. Sometimes we're vomiting either a projected fantasy in the face of attachment, or I'm underestimating. So I'm not really seeing clearly. I'm underestimating what's there. And then I see less, and then I don't want it near me. Like that. That's how we go through it. See if you can find an even thing. Watch your judgment. That's what, don't get down on yourself. You just go, wow. Okay. Rein that back in, and then go, I wonder what he's about. Wonder what's going on there. And I play with it and just laugh at some of the projections. I'll go, well, that was a really sweeping judgment on that person. I don't even know, like, wow, where did that come from? And it just comes from social habituation. You learned it from your parents. They learned it from their grandparents and your other friends. You see how, it used to be middle school. Remember middle school? Most terrifying piece of my life, middle school. But and I'm gonna, this sounds a bit sexist, but girls in middle school, oof, wicked. Of how like these, and so you learn it from that, like how to protect, and then you get together and you'd be like, oh, she's horrible. It's a terrible thing we learned. There's other cultures that don't do it like that. And in the States, and I still hear it goes on, the bullying and all these things, and now they do it online. And okay, so you got this basis of equanimity. Okay, so they start both methods. And then with 7-point cause and effect method, 7-point cause and effect method. Okay, the first point is the hardest one. And what you do is you want to learn these points. They're methodical, but you want to take time to meditate on them regularly. You want to meditate on them regularly. Okay. So the first point's the hardest, is that all beings have been your mother. All beings have been your mother. And you know, people say, what? How is that possible? Because of the beginningless nature of the mind. Beginningless nature of your consciousness. Okay. It means that we believe in reincarnation, Tibetan Buddhists. But again, if that stream of consciousness, when you just noticed your thoughts are gross level of consciousness. I can track my thoughts. I follow them. And I go, oh yeah, that was a thought about this. That's gross. We follow. Then there's subtle consciousness, fluctuations, movements of the mind, more subtle. You don't catch them. Okay. In long retreats, sometimes things get a little bit more subtle. Okay. But what they say average is here in a finger snap, right? 56, is it 56? 56 moments of 56 fluctuations of your mind in that. That's pretty subtle. In that, 56 movements of the mind. So we don't experience that. Then most subtle consciousness, clear light nature, they'd say. Most subtle consciousness, clear light nature. One thing I think Bob Thurman, Professor Thurman, calls it brilliant transparency, clear light. Brilliant transparency. It's hard to imagine. It's clear light nature, where all the seeds, all the activities you've done for plant seeds in that consciousness, like that. Thank you. Very nice. You just put up the 7 points. Thank you so much. Yeah. So how is this? So you want to think deeply about it. And there is a meditation on the continuity of consciousness that is done in the mind and its potential module of discovering Buddhism, like that you can slowly do the meditation. It's not an easy meditation, but just think, if you noticed your thoughts just now, as I said when we started the session, they don't come from nowhere, right? Like there was something before that. There was something before that, something before. It seems like there's always something before. If you trace it, something causing it, like that. So slowly, think, so you can think, if there is a possibility that something came before my conception, and conception is really the body, but the mind is there, Tibetan Buddhism says, then there could be previous life. There could be a previous life. And then if there was, it goes back and back without a beginning. So I've had, as they'd say, they use the word countless lives. Countless lives. Okay. So in every life, we've been different things, and we've been basically everything. So some people beat themselves up. They euthanized their dog, or they had an abortion, or they did this horrible thing or this horrible thing. And Lama Yeshe, one woman came to him crying. She had an abortion, blamed herself for years, most horrible thing. She was Catholic. It was, you know, and Lama just looked at her and he said, my dear, we've killed countless things. Right. So again, the ego of this life, based on its confusion and lack of authentic knowledge, okay, likes to hang on to itself. So makes a big drama of this life, right? This is me. Oh my gosh, my kid, my cat, my car, my job, my partner. But Tibetan Buddhism says you've had all this countless times before. Countless dramas. What do you remember of them? Not much. If anything, not much. Okay. So how much do you want to be overly dramatic about this time? Why not work on getting to the treasure chest? Spend more time doing that. So all beings have been our mothers, okay? And the thing is, slowly you'd want to meditate. All beings, and what you want to think about in the meditation, we'll see next week, we'll try some of the meditations. What you want to think about in the meditations are that ocean, that stream of all those lives you've had before. All those lives you've had before. See if you can do some meditation the next couple of days till the next session. Thursday night, next session, right? On this topic. Okay. All those lives, like an ocean, like it's vast. You never see the end of it. And they say countless. Countless. You can't count it. It's uncountable. Back and back and back. And every life you've had a mother. Every life you've had a mother. except for they say some of the hell rebirths, you're just regenerated. Okay. But other lives, you've had a mother, born to a mother. All these lives, we have this connection, we have this bond with each other. Nothing like that mother bond, that mother love. Okay? Even though you may not have had a great relationship with your mother this life, I understand. Okay. But every life, can we not keep doing with the screen because it distracts everybody? Yeah. So I was going to say, just put the bodhicitta stuff.
For everybody.
Okay, great. Yeah, just put the bodhicitta stuff up, or just
Yeah,
because
I'll
it.
just switch.
Thank you.
No.
Thank you so much. And then, so think about all those mothers, that bond you have, possibility with everybody, with the person that just cut in front of you with the big truck. Okay. The person at the supermarket is not helping with this person at work that you can't stand, because things like that. All these beings, and just give yourself the possibility, not just the next 2 days, but give yourself the possibility this person in some life or other I had that relationship with. And most mothers are incredible. Okay. So we're going to move into the next things. And these things really work. I just give you an example. During the end of the pandemic, well, it's not the end, I don't know, the pandemic, in the winter 2021, I had been quarantined at this house in Philadelphia, my parents, where I grew up. Very good space to be on my own. It was like a retreat, pandemic. So I had very privileged kind of experience there, and I could teach online. And then I decided 2021 coming in, because nobody knew what was happening. I got there, it was April, and suddenly everything shuts down. And it's like, and then our centers were really struggling. So I was in touch with a lot of centers, and I'm like, let's just get online, if you can get online. And some of them jumped on. But then we came around, we went through 6 months or so, and then suddenly we come to 2021. And I think I'll do a more formal retreat at home now. 6 weeks I took home, and I told my family, everybody, I'm disconnecting, set up 6 weeks, and just be home in the house, and I could get food delivered. I mean, it was perfect. So I did this 6-week thing, and I decided I usually have my own deity practice and commitments that I do, a guru yoga practice, but what I usually take different Lamrim topics to also add into the sessions. And I thought, this one I'm going to focus a lot on bodhicitta. I think I'll really make that a big focus. Each session, several times a day, I was, a good 20, 30 minutes in a meditation on bodhicitta. Just like this. All beings have been my mother. I spent time with that. And then I'll go through the next points. 6 weeks later, I finished. End of my retreat. And I was a little bit trying to figure out what was next, because my dad had died, and I thought, people are getting out there. Maybe I can help a center. Maybe I should go back and live at a center. I thought, I'll ask Rinpoche. I'll put some centers had been approaching me. I'll put some possibilities down of what I thought maybe I could do. So I started this list, the fateful list, how Land of Medicine Buddha pulled in at the last minute. It's just so interesting how karma happens. Okay. Anyway, I've made this list. But what happens is, in the meantime, I left the house and went to the grocery store. I think, did I tell you this? Or no, I haven't been here since then, but I went to the grocery store. I may have told this in other classes. And I live between 2 big grocery stores, right between them. And I decide, they're both called Giant. You're familiar with Giant grocery stores, big chain. Okay. I live between. So I went to the Giant. For some reason, I ended up, one is very well managed, and they always have the shelves are stocked. The other one, not so. And somehow I ended up in that one. Huh. And when I end up in that one, and you go to find your item, they never have the item. It's empty. Can't find a salesperson. If you do find a salesperson, they never want to go in the back and check for you, and they never have the item. My experience. So somehow I end up in that store, and I'm like, oh, I wonder why I went to this store. And I was like, well, it's a big store, so I'm pushing my cart around, and I came up 3 times in the store to an item I needed that was not on the shelf. But the first time I came to the store, and everybody has a mask on, I have a mask on, and I came to this store, this item isn't on the shelf. I look around for a minute, and there's a clerk, there's a salesperson emptying stuff on the shelf. Usually I can never find anyone in that store, anyone to help, but there's somebody. And I looked over, so somehow the retreat must have had an effect. So what happens is, when you need something, think about it, you go marching over to the person, excuse me, right? I'm important. I'm more important than you. And you're working, but I need something. And, sometimes it's like that, right? But that wasn't what was happening. Somehow for me, I looked over and I thought, they look busy. They're working, they're busy. I don't really want to disturb them. And I wasn't even in their line of view. Like they were here and I was back here. But I was just thinking, I thought, should I go over to them or? And while I was having the thought, the person turned and saw me. Right? I didn't say anything. I didn't clear my throat. They just turned and they said, and there was somehow a smile behind our masks. Hi. Do you need help? They said. They've never said that to me in that store ever. Years, right? So I was like, I said, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, you look busy. No. I said, well, this item, I just point and I said, I don't know whether you might have anything in the back, or I know that you might not be able to check, but oh no, let me go check. They go off in the back, they come back with the item. 3 times that happened in the store, 3 different parts of the store. Same exact thing happened with different clerks, different people there working. I check out and I'm going over to my car in the parking lot. And I thought for a minute, I had this thought in my retreat. And I thought, bodhicitta, I think it really works. But the thing is, and I'm not kidding, if you spend time meditating on these things, I can't say this enough. I can't say it enough because at this point we just have to cut to the chase. We can't kind of waste any more time. If you do these meditations, and these are from Lama Zopa Rinpoche that has encouraged us for years to try to do these meditations. Okay, anchored in a nice Guru Yoga practice. Okay, I've made a little cheat sheet how you get your practice started. Okay, so if you want, I can run that through Rebecca and she can send that out to you like that. And it's got some things in there. You can watch a video explaining a Guru Yoga practice. There's links to how you download one of the booklets. You just slowly, and then you get some instruction. Okay, one of them is a video explaining exactly how you do the Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga practice. If you want it, it's not that long. And you want to break it down. You're a new practitioner, you look at a couple pages a day. That's it. Don't think you're going to have an hour rolled out for you. No, you have 10 minutes, you look for 10 minutes. Might not make a lot of sense. You go to and slowly put it together over a few weeks and it'll start making sense and you get more instruction at this center. Ask people questions when teachers come. Can I meet? I want to go over this. I'm trying to do this. What do I do? There's a lot of things online. Okay. So these meditations shift your mind. They change your external reality. I'm not kidding you. I've had many experiences of that. And we say it's a miracle, and we say, but we'll say we're stuck in a certain habit. You're not. You're not stuck. You can affect changes in your external reality like that. It will happen. And if I just say Gaza to some people, there's some people toppled by it, like freaked out every day. It consumes their energy. There's some people that never even think about it. They don't know, there's some people that hate this side or hate that side like that. But it's basically what is being projected from my mind that causes me to have a certain experience about something. It's not the external out there. It's not Gaza. It's not Ukraine. It's not this candidate or that candidate or this truck or that truck. It's Lama Zopa Rinpoche's main teaching the last years of his life is everything comes from the mind. So work on these things to change your mind. Okay. We had a Light of the Path retreat. Some of you attended. It used to be in North Carolina, hosted by our Raleigh Center. And your teacher, Venerable Tendrin, she's connected to that center. That's where she came from before she was here. So they used to host, not where they lived in Raleigh at their center, but they used to host it at this YMCA in Asheville, outside of Asheville, North Carolina. And many years we went there, and it was 2 weeks or 4 weeks, a beautiful retreat with Lama Zopa Rinpoche. Like that. And one year I was working for the center in Vermont, and all I was doing was Dharma, and I was working really hard, and I didn't have a lot of space for myself. And I came to the retreat and on and on and on. Okay. And I was feeling a little forlorn, of kind of stuck out and exiled to Vermont. And even though it's beautiful up there and Millaray Center is great, but I was kind of having a hard time, very isolated from a lot of Dharma people and from nuns. And I came to the retreat and you get this zest. And that's why sometimes you just bring yourself to a place where there's some special retreat. You get all that renewal. Okay. So I came to the retreat and then we finished and I had a car and I was driving back. And first I'd go back to Pennsylvania, have a night with my parents, and then back to Vermont like that. And I'm driving, but I decided it was early in the morning. I left. I'm going to stop and have breakfast at something I love about the East Coast, the Waffle House. Okay. We don't have those in California. They have other things in California. They have better IHOPs in California than they have on the East Coast. They don't have Waffle House. Okay, now we know Waffle House. Okay, the standard greasy breakfast, whatever. I go in. Now this is the South, if you're familiar. Okay. And it's North Carolina. It's anyway, and I stop at the Waffle House, I have my breakfast, sitting alone, and I look like this in the booth. And people are kind of looking over. They don't want to look too long because they might catch that disease that I have, whatever. But I see them looking over and look, people are a little bit staring, but then I have my breakfast. I finish my breakfast. I don't know anybody in this Waffle House, but there's a number of people there. And I finished my breakfast and I asked for the bill, for the check. And the waitress comes over and she says to me, she says, somebody took care of your bill and we know what you're doing. And I really want to thank you for the work that you're doing. Right? That's your external reality. And I'm not anybody special. I'm just saying that's happened to me several times. I'm working really hard. I'm doing what I might call virtuous stuff, but I'm not a great practitioner. I'm not Miss Virtue and Miss Holy just because I'm a nun. I'm not. Okay. Let's be honest. But when you're doing your work and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and that's about finding meaning in your life again, when you're coming from that space and you have this big bodhicitta heart that I'm really trying to get, I wake up in the morning, I'm trying to do it for everybody. But the point is you want to get enlightened to benefit all living beings, not just to benefit all living beings, to do it as a Buddha, then you do it perfectly, unlimitedly, wholeheartedly, whole-mindedly, right? Like that. And that's the kind of stuff that goes on. And I like looked around. Nobody was looking. Nobody was like, I paid it. It was like, I mean, this waitress was like the sweetest angel. I was like, it was like the heavens were singing. Suddenly I'm like, Rinpoche, is that you? Yeah, it is. It's absolute guru in your heart, meaning the place that you're supposed to be, the place that you're always supposed to be, that you're supposed to be merged with. And all of you can find that in yourself. Some of you found it. Some of you do retreat and we have little insights. Don't expect some grandiose, I'm doing my practice and God should come and the lightning. And it's not like that practice. But again, I've said this before, we Americans want big realization. And we wanted it 2 weeks ago in a nice little silver box, easy. It's not like that, this path. If you want that, find something else. It's not this path. Okay? But this path is so rewarding. It's so rewarding. If you're really trying to, and again, you're going to make mistakes. And some days it's not going to go well. I'm not showing up for my practice. I can't do it today. Then next day, start again. Every day, begin again. So you just have to try your best you can do, but it will affect some changes. And what happens is you have little insights. You're here and you have lots of little insights, little aha moments, little wake ups of little things. And then, suddenly a few years later, you're over here. Well, that's significant. Okay. But we want it all at once. That's not really realistic. So adjust your ideas, but get on the cushion, get some practices going, get into some classes, show up and try and ask your questions, write down your questions, talk to other Dharma students. How did you do it? How did you start? I need this. I want to know how to do this. What does that mean? It's hard. It's not an easy path, but it's possible. Okay. So please think about tonight, and then we're gonna finish. We've got, and I'll review these next week. After, and sorry, am I making sense? Are we communicating?
Yes.
Does it make sense? So just think about it seriously. And so after thinking about all beings, reflecting on all beings have been your mother, all beings have been your mother. Okay. The second step is remembering the kindness of your mother, remembering the kindness. Okay. If you didn't have a particularly kind mother and you didn't have a relationship or you never knew your mother, think of another person in your life, a mentor, your father, an aunt, a grandmother, a sister, somebody that you have, or look at somebody else's mother. incredible kindness. I just look at the animal realm. Oh my God, you know, you read these stories like the cat ran into the burning factory to drag out each kitten. You know, she got singed, she had a little eye damage. That's what mothers do. They go into the burning building. They're the ones that lift up the Volkswagen Bug off of their kid to save their kid. Mothers have sacrificed for countless eons for their kids. Okay. Maybe you don't have that experience with your mother. Not everybody does. There are abusive mothers, and based on their intense confusion, that's all in their minds. Think about the kindnesses. And if you want, think about the kindnesses of mother sentient beings. Mother sentient beings. Okay. If you don't, so mother sentient beings, they made this room. Right. And even the mother sentient beings that designed this room, and even the ones serving the center that thought about how to make this room attractive for people to come. And they've done it several times in different rooms over and over and over. Some of you have been involved. That's the kindness of beings. I just think sometimes when I'm driving on the roads in the States, because I just did this big drive across the country again, the paving of our roads. We have a good infrastructure in the United States. I wish we had a good rail system, right? But we've got, you know, so I find that really kind that they, you know, they paved it so it's easier in the car. Car doesn't wear out as much. Even though when I was driving, and there was a guy in California before I left, something about getting my car serviced before I left. And he said, oh, well, you need to do that because you know those roads in Arizona on your drive. And I went, the roads in Arizona? I said, I'm not going to do any backcountry, I said to him. You know, I'm in a little sedan. I'm in a little, you know, I said, I'm not doing any backcountry. He goes, no, you know, and I was like, and then I was on I-10 across Arizona. It's a gutter. I was like, this, you know, I'm just like, this is awful. Terrible stretch of road there, you know. And I'm like, that guy must have known about, you know. But mainly it's fantastic. I just think of all the advantages we have, like when you go into a grocery store and how beautiful the fruit and vegetables are displayed. That they have all these items, that how nicely how clean it is. Every time we would bring when the lamas would come years ago with their attendants, the first times they'd come, and I'd always ask the attendants their first trip to the States, what impressed them the most. And they'd always say, so clean. So much cleaner than India and Nepal. So much cleaner, you know, and on our water systems, our water filters of filtration systems. And there's controls about air pollution and the kind of gas you use. I mean, it goes on and on. Kindness to try to help us. So many kind things. We have public education for the most part. Not that it's perfect, but you have access to that. You can send your kids to school and like on and on. All the kindnesses people show you. So there are people that are moaners, right? Complain. You all know these people, right? But there's always a reframing. Find a positive spin on things. There's always a reframing like that. So think about that in the kindness. And then we want to think about repaying the kindness. So you can spend some time thinking about how would I repay the kindness? My parents, I used to have grandiose fantasies of good things I would do. Sometimes we did the things, we ended up doing them. We bought him a new washer and dryer, got my dad a color printer and a new camera and a new this and like things like that took them on a trip, you know, on a couple trips and things. So there's many nice things. The best is that kind heart. The best thing you can do for anyone is to get to the treasure chest. That. So we're going to stop there. See, I didn't get the computer open, but okay. So thank you. And thank you to those online. And I forgot to ask if there's one or two questions. Yes, please.
There was a nun here, and I don't remember who it was many years ago. And she said you should do tonglen practice for yourself if you're suffering. And
Yes.
when I first was introduced to tonglen, you know, I never heard that, and I was amazed when I was told that.
Yeah,
Is that
usually
common?
the tonglen that I tend to lead is I start with yourself, a visualization of yourself across. Yeah, because we leave ourselves out and we're struggling a lot. So it's like, why not put yourself in there and, you know, but with a broader motivation. Yeah. Yeah, really helpful. Yes.
in the idea that all beings have been our mothers. So in our past lives, have we not been one of those mothers, or several of those mothers?
So we've been the mothers for other beings as well, absolutely. And part of it, we're going to get to where we're viewing living beings as if they were our children. And you have that incredible love for them as well. But absolutely, it works both ways. Yeah.
Yes, Noreen has a question from the chat. She asked, how do you deal with very difficult colleague?
With
With a very difficult colleague.
okay. Can you save that till Thursday? In the chat, can she save it till Thursday? Because that's a longer kind of, and there's a good meditation that I lead as well. We can talk about.
Yeah, she said true.
She's okay. Okay.
The simple
So hold that question and do bring that question up again, please.
I was just, you mentioned something being emailed by Rebecca, a cheat sheet.
What I did is I have a cheat sheet of just getting your practice started that has a few links and this booklet, that booklet, this video, that something very, very quick and down and dirty. And it just gets people a little bit started. And some of it's kind of Lama Zopa Rinpoche style. But I would also encourage to do the module Discovering Buddhism and Establishing a Daily Practice. Can be very helpful. And then slowly the center can talk about water bowls with you, how you set up an altar if you want to do things like that. You know, it's not necessary, but it can also just be a help, a support for the mind. So I'll send that. And
Is it something you want emailed to individual people, or would it be all right if we?
No,
put
you
it
can
in
send
a
it.
link in the.
Yeah, you
in
can
the-
send it to everybody and just have that. And it's a great way to just look at these. And again, the commentary is me giving a commentary on the Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga. There's many commentaries online you can find of higher teachers than me giving the commentary, but it's pretty complete. And then it also has the link to the practice booklet, the link to the Shakyamuni practice booklet. Because in order to get a practice going, it's good to, I would say, anchor it in a practice called Guru Yoga. And there's different versions from the very simple, the Guru Shakyamuni Buddha practice, to more elaborate like Lama Chopa. But to anchor it, Guru Yoga, yoking yourself to the Guru, okay, to the virtuous friend, the teacher. Now, they manifest externally like a Lama Zopa Rinpoche, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, simply reminding us of our true nature. And all they want you to do is to get in touch with that in yourself, developing your own wisdom and compassion. That's your treasure chest, like that. So that's what so basically that's what these practices are, simply an elaborate 7-limb prayer. The center can tell you more about that. And it's more elaborate with certain visualization. You recite some mantras like that, and then you can incorporate Lamrim, analytical meditation on the Lamrim in those practices. And it's incredibly helpful for the mind, but it can be tedious. We're not used to it. It's so much more interesting to watch dancing cat videos on the internet. People say, but that's what I'm saying. We're so thoroughly distracted that kind of practice for us is really, really hard. But once you kind of get habituated, it builds your confidence in what you're doing. And you can streamline some of them. Like, it doesn't sometimes need to be more than an hour or two a day maximum, or you can make it even a little shorter. And you can just do parts of some of the practices. You just have to try your best at first to build up that practice like that.
Yes. Anita says, Van Goeni, I am listening to the reading of Buddhism in a nutshell, and really enjoy it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So that's another Buddhism in a nutshell. The organization asked me to record that. They made the book out of it years ago, and I think it's an MP3 now, so you can listen to it, you can download that, listen to it. The book is different, but it's what the MP3 is, an 11-hour overview of the Lamrim. So if you want an explanation of that's helpful as well.
It's out of print now, correct? Because I tried to order it in advance of your coming.
Yes, I don't think they have the books anymore from FPMT used to have them. They got rid of all their printed matter.
Right.
I believe you can download it, or there's something, or listen to the MP3.
There was the, I think I even looked on Amazon. There was one copy left, so everybody, but for the book, but I think Kindle, they had the Kindle version.
They have a Kindle, so they have a Kindle version and they have maybe an MP3.
Yes, and the
The audio.
Yeah.
In the FPMT Online Learning Center, you can, if you have that module, you can download the PFD of the entire book.
Yes, yeah, they have the PDF of the book. So you can still access the book through fpmt.org. You can also listen to the audio. Like I said, they're quite different. And I keep wanting to take the original that we had done and really make a book of that, because the book turned out to be different than we that were working on it thought it was going to be. But it's useful, I think, and it's a course. It's one of our intro courses. So if you feel that's a nice course to kind of
we are doing some modules in May from that.
perfect,
actually.
wonderful. So that way you get that. So it's nice to keep trying to come to some courses. You know, you get that taste of something, makes it a little, and you'd be surprised. People feel like they're not making any progress. Okay, that's something I hear a lot. How many of you have been around the Dharma, say, just 5 years? Just put your hand up. About 5 years, okay? So, and any difference than 5 years ago? Yeah, oh yeah. Different? Yeah, different. I mean, it's significant. We feel like we're not making progress, but there's a number of people I know have been around a year, 3 years, 5 years. I find them quite different. Like, it's really impressive of slowly, but again, it takes effort. And think of lifetimes instead of just maybe the 60, 70, 80 years I get this time, think of you're making seeds, you're making slight evolution every lifetime, good enough like that. But make sure you are putting some positive seeds in and trying to undo and dismantle some really nasty habits you have. And we all have them. Okay. So we can do it in this life, but it takes some effort and takes some showing up with authenticity, and we can do it, and we can help each other. That's what's so great about these Dharma centers like that. Okay. We're going to stop there. Thank you so much for coming, for your great attention, your great questions. And we're going to go back to the Gold Prayer Book, or please share page 235. What I'd like to do is dedicate whatever positive energy that we've created from our time together, whatever merit we would say. I'd like to dedicate it to 235, to having flourishing practices, but practices that are reasonable and realistic. And also dedicating it to our, decreasing what's realistic of some of the wasted habits we do, and trying to drive that a little bit, moving that a little bit into Dharma practice so that we can reach enlightenment quickly and progress along this path to enlightenment to benefit all living beings. I'd like to dedicate in that way. I'd like to dedicate for all the wars around the planet to be ended immediately and to find a harmonious, peaceful solution. And for all the beings around the planet starving, hungry, being attacked, may that end instantly. And for the long lives of our precious teachers, and for Lama Zopa Rinpoche to manifest, to swiftly return to us as well, and to be able to complete his full education and be able to resume his position as the spiritual director of FPMT and guide our centers and all the students. Page 235. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow. May that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra too realize things as they are, I too dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. Page 244, the short, long life prayer for His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. And do we have the
the
swift?
Shades, yes, it's
236.
It's too. No,
The swift return, wonderful. And thank you for sharing online. Thank you so much. Page 234. That's nice how you slotted that right in there. What was on page 234?
It's blank. Well, I haven't
Oh,
have a
blank.
blank one.
Oh,
here,
good.
so-
That's
so
perfect.
we'll keep-
Perfect.
If it is blank, please leave the book aside so that. I
Because
can-
we'll paste,
Yes.
we'll paste another one in.
Yes.
Peerless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, victorious Lothang, father and sons along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge in infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now, holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings. Through explanation and practice, you wore the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable Venerable Guru, to you I make requests. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge. And for mother living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss. Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels and the great waves of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of reincarnation swiftly beam in glory over fortunate disciples. Thank you so much, and I hope to see some of you Thursday, and we have a nice retreat, more classes on the weekend as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will stop the recording. Thank you.
Thank you.